Well, I don't really know what's going on with Kermit over here, but it's looking more and more likely that the 3090 Ti is not only real, but we're getting more specs about it. So what makes it a Ti version? What is actually better about this thing? When is it coming out? All of that. Well, we've got some info for you coming up, and a big deal is that it looks like we know what the memory is going to be. We have this weird number, but what does this number need? Well, I'll get to that in just a second. First, let's talk about a couple shorter GPU news stories. One is that we are looking like, hey, crypto mining, yay! We're getting some crypto mining-based cards, which, I mean, I guess I have mixed feelings about this. So when you see... I guess it might be good to see the markets kind of split where we have, cards just targeted at crypto mining, so at least gamers aren't competing on those same cards. But at the same time, it's just a little bit frustrating because I'd rather it all go to gaming. And people are going to mine on the gaming cards anyway. And then, I don't know, guys. So I don't know. I'm not that into the mining thing, but I just thought we're talking about GPU news. Here you go. I'll link this in the description if this is more of your speed of story. However, this one's even shorter. I just like the look of this. So not that you all have your choice over exactly which 3060 Ti should I buy, but I like the color shifting paint on this thing. So that's kind of neat. So anyway, if you do get the opportunity to get your hands on one of these, I could imagine a build where this looks really nice. And if you ever actually could get a 3060 Ti for where it should be priced, that would be nice. But anyway, let's move back to the main story today, which is, what's going on with this thing, this 3090 Ti? Well, if we pop over to video cards, they have a story where they looked more into the details of this memory that they're talking about here. So this code number would be apparently a 21 gigabits per second bandwidth per module. And I believe the other thing is that this would be 2 gigabyte modules, which is not what they're using on the normal 3090. So the normal 3090 needs to have memory modules stuck onto the backplate, and that can make cooling it a bit of an issue. So this has the advantage of not just being 21 gigabits per second, but being the 2 gigabyte modules means that they can fit all of them on one side. And I should imagine that this should then be easier to cool. So I'd be interested in what sort of, board designs we get for this. Now, what kind of performance gain are you going to get for this thing, and at what cost? Well, the cost, who knows, but we all know it's going to be bad. And at what additional cost? The rumors are that this is going to have a TDP of 450 watts, whereas the normal 3090 was sitting at 350 watts, which is already a lot. Although I guess if you're running this kind of card, maybe you just don't care about your energy bill because you're paying so much money for it in the first place. I don't know. So what actually makes this 3090 Ti? Well, so this is your complete Ampere GA102 high-end thing, completely unleashed. This gets it 10,752 CUDA cores. And because this is getting that 21 gigabit per second memory, and it has a 384-bit wide memory bus, this will now be the first time we're going past 1 terabytes per second of bandwidth for, on a GeForce card, which is really cool. And this is, again, rumored to be launching in January, along with, and probably at the end of the launches of the 3080 12 gigabyte and 3070 Ti 16 gigabyte. Now, it's very important to note that this is all based on leaks. Now, we're getting them from a lot of different sources, many of these sources fairly trustworthy that have leaked good info about GPUs in the past. So I'd bet on this being, at least for the most part, correct. But just do keep in mind these are based on leaks. So how would the 3090 Ti stack up against the 3090? Well, again, based on leaks, this is not official spec sheets or anything. it's going to be a small difference, guys. It's really small. But for those of you who, bought the 3090 instead of a 3080 for some small differences, or, the 3090 instead of the 3080 Ti, if you're buying it out of that one was out for some small differences, maybe it's time to chuck your 3090 in the trash can and buy a 3090 Ti. Alternatively, you could send it to me as a review sample. Honestly, guys, the only thing that would make this upgrade if you already have a 3090 make sense is if you can sell your 3090 on the used market for basically the same price as buying a 3090 Ti, because that's the GPU market we live in, and that might actually be a thing. Anyway, so what are the differences? So we're going to get, because we're getting the full GA102 without anything cut down on it, we would get 84 GPU clusters instead of 82, giving us 10,752 CUDA cores instead of 10,496. So we can tell, percentage-wise, that is not a huge jump, okay? You do get 2 more RT cores, because there's 1 RT core per GPU cluster. And again, one of the biggest differences being the memory clock, being the 21 gigabits per second instead of 19.5. And we're still on the 384-bit bus. So it's really going to be a small upgrade. Plus, again, if this rumored memory is true, you're getting all of it on one side of the GPU, not having to stick the memory on the back, which, like I said, should be nice for cooling. And it does push with that extra memory speed up past a fancy number. So if you need that 1 terabyte of bandwidth, this is the card for you. Are you guys interested in this thing? I know a lot of people already argued that the normal 3090 wasn't really a card that makes sense for gaming, but I've got to say, I'm more sympathetic to the 3090 buyers than I think some of the other YouTubers are, because I look at high-end PC gaming in the grand scheme of other hobbies rather than just in and of itself. So some people enjoy planning their build around getting a certain kind of value, whereas other people find value in having the best thing that's available, right? And upgrading every time. And I don't think that's wasteful as long as, you sell or find a good use for your older cards and all of that. And in general, I think that like I said, I think of this in terms of the grand scheme of other hobbies. So I have friends who are into cars, and they can waste, the second you buy a new car and drive it off the lot, it just depreciated in value, about the same thing as buying a 3090 Ti. Although we don't have actual pricing, I can guarantee you that if the 3090 MSRP, which is, just a theoretical number, you'll never see one for $1,500. All right, if we're seeing that at $1,500 and they're actually selling for what, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 all over the place, I would imagine seeing this thing MSRP around $2,000 wouldn't be insane. I mean, I'm not saying that isn't insane, but wouldn't be unrealistic for what we're going to see in this market. And then the actual pricing on these being beyond that. Will we see the actual 3090s come down in price? Probably not. All right, I got to get to work. I hope all of you guys have an excellent day.